Baphomets, and I think this is Set, or no, that's Set or Sekhmet. I can't exactly remember. I just know the gist of the story. And this is Ra, or Amon-Ra, and he's basically the sun god, and that's where you'll see the, you know, the Illuminati eye.
Okay, so moving on. The all-seeing eye, or Eye of Providence, is traditionally known as the Eye of Horus. It's worth taking a moment to look at Horus, as he is frequently referenced in the music and movie industry, as well as in the fashion industry. This quote is taken from the Dictionary of the Occult. Open quote. Horus's father was Osiris, and mother was Isis. He was called Horus, who ruled with two eyes. His right eye was white and represented the sun. His left eye was black and represented the moon. According to the myth, Horus lost his left eye to his evil brother Set, who he fought to avenge Set's murder of Osiris. Set tore out Horus's left eye but lost the fight. The eye was reassembled by magic, by Thoth, the god of writing, the moon and magic. Horus presented his eye to Osiris, who experienced rebirth in the underworld. End quote. One-eye symbolism is everywhere in the fashion and the music industry, and I do mean everywhere.
Satan was crucified with Jesus. He was up there with him. I think he just took possession of a guy up there, which is what this guy is supposed to symbolize. And check this out. And look what bird it is, too.
Warned his people about the Antichrist, about Dajjal, the false Messiah. And the prophet Noah warned his people. But I say to you something that none have said before me. The Antichrist sees with one eye, his left eye. He's blind in the right eye. It looks like a bulging grape. But your Lord is not one-eyed.
The walls between races and tribes, natives and immigrants, Christians and Muslims and Jews cannot stand. These now are the walls we must tear down.
He will call to a false religion and bring something which resembles paradise and hell, but that which resembles paradise will in fact be hell, and that which resembles hell will in fact be paradise. He is the Dajjal, meaning imposter. The prophet further foretold that this liar would start to conquer the world, country by country, fortress by fortress, region by region, town by town. The one eye is one of the ways to recognize the Dajjal. The one eye is the symbol of the Freemasons. It is part of their beliefs and is taken from ancient Egyptian mythology.
Sun and moon worship is something that is still practiced by the Illuminati today, and it's grown up a bit, but today I'm just going to talk about kind of where it came from, why it is that they still do this. So sun and moon worship can pretty much be traced back to ancient Egypt, ancient Babylon, ancient Canaan, Canaanite lands. So, people wonder, well, why is it that they would do such an old religion? I mean, nobody does that anymore. But I think the reason that they do it is primarily because it is the oldest, and that's the way they've always worked. A little bit more about sun worship. The way they do sun worship is they generally turn it into some sort of deity. So in Egypt, they turned it into Ra, you see. And there's both male and female counterparts. So when one really does like a study of the Illuminati in today's world, and how come sometimes a lot of times actually they represent the sun as a female, because in these ancient Babylonian and ancient Egyptian sun worship things, the deities were oftentimes female. So yeah, that's pretty much sun and moon worship. Another thing though, they would also sacrifice children to the sun and the moon. That way the sun would, bring them enough light. Because the priest would tell the people, if you don't sacrifice the children, then the sun will stop giving its light. And, the priests were very good at knowing when there would be an eclipse. So, on the time of the eclipse, the priest would say, hey, because you displease the gods are going to just darken the moon, or they're going to darken the sun, and so then that would happen. And the people would be all like, whoa, that's crazy, not knowing that the priest actually knew how to track the movements of the sun and track the movements of the stars.
And basically he battles him, and he conquers him, in the morning time, so the light overcomes the darkness, and then at dusk, Set or Sekhmet, whatever his name is, conquers him, and the darkness overcomes. That's why the Masons are so into duality, like their black and white checkered floors and all that, and they're really, and they also really follow these ancient mystery school rites of being reborn, and that's why they do all these strange rituals. It doesn't really have anything to do with death. It's just really bizarre, is what I'll say.
Like all royal Egyptians, Seti is mummified. To them, the physical body is all important. If Seti's body is well preserved, his soul will recognize him later in the underworld, and they will reunite. When his mummification is complete, Seti is buried in Egypt's Valley of the Kings. Now his fight for resurrection begins. He must embark on a journey through the ancient Egyptian version of hell. To succeed, Seti will need a detailed guide through a terrifying realm. His guide, called the Book of Gates, is painted on the walls of Seti's tomb. He's met in the underworld by a cordon of dead souls. To them he appears as Ra, the ram-headed god of the sun. Few understand this transformation better than archaeologist Dr. Zahi Hawass.
When a king died, he became the sun god. He united with the sun as one person. And therefore, the battle of the sun god for the netherworld, it is the battle of the pharaoh.
To the ancient Egyptians, the sun was the holy of holies. They thought it literally died in the west each evening, and they prayed it would rise again in the east the next morning. The king's journey through death therefore paralleled the path the sun took every night.
The biggest fear for the ancient Egyptian, if the king and the sun god will not make this trip, the world will end.
Seti's voyage will follow an afterlife version of the Nile River. Tonight, he must pass through 12 gates, one for each hour of the night. But it's no cruise down the Nile. Each gate is guarded by writhing serpents.
Their job is to guard the gates against anyone who is not pure enough or who does not have the right magical strength to pass from one level to the next.
Like many modern religious believers, Egyptians seeking eternal life needed a pure spirit, but they also needed magical knowledge. Seti cannot pass through the gates unless he knows and speaks the secret name of the snakes that guard them.
If the king will say the name, it shows in the mind of the ancient Egyptian that he is the right one to go. He is the pure one. He is the magical one. And if he will say it, he will go through. This is why they write it so carefully in the text.
Seti was supposed to learn the names by reading them on the walls of his tomb. And now, his journey depends on it. When he utters the name, they retreat. And he can pass. But before the night is done, he'll have to pass 11 more gates, facing demons bent on his destruction. To destroy the pharaoh is to destroy the sun.
For the ancient Egyptian, all life depended on the sun.